Hi, and welcome to a new guide on how to play the Tier 7 British battleship Vanguard in World of Warships Legends. I will be boiling this guide down to three main components, which is your ability to angle and your use of armor, your effective use of AP, HE, and when to use the specific reload booster you get for the ship, and what commanders and abilities you'll want to rock with this ship. Now, personally, I think Vanguard is actually one of the ships of the top tiers, just where like Iowa and Blatty sit. And if you were asking me what ships sit at the bottom, it's something around like Richelieu. Richelieu's not very good. But nonetheless, I will teach you how to play Vanguard in this amazing guide that you will love, hopefully. Now, the way you want to effectively armor angle in Vanguard, there's two ways you can actually angle in the ship. There's full-on bow tanking, and when you want to get all your rear guns involved and everything else like that, you want to do this thing called kiting. And kiting is essentially where you retreat, but you're still firing your guns and you're still being useful as you're retreating. Cruisers excel at it, and it's very annoying when they do it. But in a battleship, it's most effective because you can angle your armor. And when you angle your armor, if you didn't know, actually, angling your armor is actually better than bow tanking, considering the fact you have 350 millimeters guarding the citadel and the casemates, and you only have 32 millimeters of bow plating. So when you turn the ship and angle it, you're actually angling the armor. And that's actually why the bow is super effective when you use it. The bow is always angled no matter what, because it arches in so it can cut through the water more effectively, because if it was flat, it would just not move correctly. But yeah, when you want to kite, turn your bow away from the enemy and just at around 1/4 throttle, go back. But you want to make sure you have some teammates there to defend the flank. If you don't, then just go full speed and run away as fast as you can, because you're probably not going to win against like 3 battleships and a destroyer. But if you have teammates, either go 1/4 throttle, 1/4 throttle so you don't go too far away, because if you go too far away, you're essentially useless. Or what sometimes I do is you can actually reverse. If you reverse the ship, if you reverse the ship back into the battle, which looks really silly when you do it, is actually kind of good. You can actually. Well, the thing about Vanguard actually, the flat back isn't angled, and there's only 32 millimeters of plating, and you can actually punch through that. Same goes for anything like that. Like Baltimore has that, Cleveland has that. Conquer has that. And when you shoot that, you can actually punch right through it and get good penetrations. But if you're angled effectively and you're not full on stern tanking, then that's not going to matter. Or you can also bow tank. Now, I only bow tank when there's an American battleships are scary when they're firing AP at you. They have that sticky shot, better penetration angles of the American AP. And that can actually sometimes rarely punch through your angled armor, and it's not gonna citadel you, but it's gonna do like 13k or 10k. It's gonna do some decent damage. So when I have seen an American battleship, I don't do that. I just full on bow tank. But when there's like a Russian, if there's a French battleship, yeah, do this. The French battleships, the AP on those things are insanely weak. It's kind of like Vanguard, but not as bad. Or say like a Russian battleship. A Russian battleship is penetration, not exactly the penetration to cut through your armor. It's effective. Like Russian AP is pretty effective, but it's not going to cut through. Same with Italian AP. Italian AP is not very good. It penetrates so much that I swear to God it could probably cut through 5 Grocer Curvers all lined up. One shell right through it, no problem. Assuming they're broadside. Probably an overpen too for all I know, but still, if you do that and you angle effectively and you do your job right and you don't fuck it up, it works. It just works. It's a great quote. But still, when you angle, you also want to make sure when you're angling that you're not just standing. So when you stand still, actually, it's a odd shell ballistic that makes the shells. If you go forward, the shells have this tendency to shatter, and when you go backwards, the shells have a tendency to ricochet. I don't know why. I don't understand what wargaming does to these games, especially when it comes to detection. when you can literally see the destroyer 5 feet in front of you, but it just disappears. I don't know. But still, now we can get into our next topic of effective shell swaps of HE and AP penetration. Now, the next thing of shell swaps of AP and HE, I'm going to talk about armor piercing first, because it's kind of basic. Armor piercing is actually, in Vanguard, it's quite effective. It really loses its short fuse aspect of the early, I wouldn't say early, because every single battleship, except for Vanguard, actually has short fuse AP, like even Conquer still has it. But, or a little bit of some aspects of it with Conquer. But still, when you use Vanguard's AP, you want to make sure they're not angled at all. If they are, it's just going to bounce and shatter. It's very ineffective. You have the most slightest, like 70 to 60 degree angle, you have the slightest incline of angling. It's enough to just make those shells bounce and shatter. But if they're more accurate, then they maybe won't. I don't know, for some odd reason, when the shells are more accurate and pinned together, they do more damage. Probably because there's more shells, but I'm talking about just in general, like they refuse to shatter. But at long range angled ships, what I would recommend, you aim for the midpoint of superstructure and the deck. If you aim for the deck, you can get plunging fire, and if you aim for the superstructure, you guys can get some nasty hits. I've honestly hit Grocers, Iowa's, Bismarck 13,000 damage, like 5 pens on the superstructure. It's pretty nice actually. But now HE. HE is actually the shell you most look forward to when you play Vanguard, because HE, in my opinion, is better than the AP on this ship, not anything else. I mean, maybe Vladdy, but still. When you fire HE at this thing, you always want to hit the superstructure, unless it's a cruiser. Then honestly, more destroyers honestly just aim for the waterline. You'll probably Citadel it. Well, destroyers don't have Citadels for some reason, but still, if you want to use HE, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna set one fire. Now, I don't know if I don't know, I really slept on it. I don't know if a YouTuber, someone already thought of this, or someone did, but I'm not taking credit. Well, I am taking credit for it, the idea of this, but someone's gonna leave in the comments and evidence of someone creating it. But set one fire. Why? Because when you set one fire, now this is exactly why I wish either the damage con was buffed or fires were nerfed. It's when you set one fire on a battleship, you cannot, and this is why it's a permafire, you can't damage con it. You can't. If you do, you're screwed, because either it's another permafire, a flood module destroyed, like the rudder. I still don't know how they can fix the rudder when it's destroyed, but they can't fix the rudder, the engines, or anything like that, and you're pretty much dead. And since you cannot damage con the original fire, you have to let it stick. Now, if they're an idiot, they'll damage con, and they can just rain HE on them to get 4 fires set, 40% of their health is gone. Or you can do what I like to do, is just get some armor piercing and actually just destroy their superstructure. And then when it's sapped, or what I also like to do is just try, but with a wonky dispersion of Vanguard is pretty hard. Try and just concentrate where you set the fire, so you make sure you actually, because you don't want to set another fire. In this thing, you do not want to set another fire. Otherwise, you lose that perma. Now, if you do set 2 fires on damage con, I guess that's nice, but then you lose the fire and you might not set another one. Well, with 1 fire, it's always guaranteed. But what I like to do when I'm firing my HE is I pick targets. When you pick targets, you want to make sure you're focusing on... You want to set 1 fire on at least every battleship in the area. So if you went to C on Sleeping Giant, or A actually, A is a better example. You flank around A and there's 2 Bismarcks and an Iowa. Load HE, unless they're broadside load AP, but if they're battle tanking, which I assume they are, then because it's an Iowa and, it's Iowa and Bismarck, then what you're going to want to do is fire the HE, set 1 fire on all of them, and just switch to AP and either hope they go broadside or sap their superstructure. Or just set a fire on their bow and concentrate on the bow, because the shells are not that bad. They're not just going to hit the back or the superstructure for no reason. And another thing you can do with the HE is get good superstructure hits. Another thing I'm talking about. Smack the Grosser curve first with 7 hits. Almost, I can't remember, but it was something like 24 to 25,000 damage in 4 fire set. It was a quadruple fire set with 25,000 damage all on the superstructure. And it's, I know it's a Grosser, and there's more hit points to go to the fucking superstructure than there is the ship, but still, it's pretty effective. And also, now another thing with the AP is, you can actually use it. What I like to do is knock out their guns to force them to go broadside, or to, again, force them to burn the damage con. Because the original point of the fire is if, well, they don't burn it, they're screwed. And because that's the beauty of it. If they don't burn the damage con, they're screwed. And if they burn it, they're screwed. It's a win-win for you and a loss for them. Now, they can do the same thing to you, but, you know, you're a Vanguard with 5 or 3 super heals, depending on what build you're using, which actually goes right next to our next topic of commander builds. Is a very fun subject. Now, there are mainly that you want to use. There's 3 builds that you really would want to use in Vanguard that I would suggest. There's the full reload build, where you use Madden with the full build of the Brawler, which will decrease your reload time by 10%. You do not take, and this is very critical, you do not take the main battery mod 2 that increase zero time for a huge bonus of the turret reverse speed. I actually tried it with and without, and it actually uses a much better reload time. It goes from 18 to 17 seconds if you use your build effectively. Make sure all these builds, for the record, are level 16, otherwise you're not going to get the most benefit. But you should already have level 16 commanders, considering the fact this game is 2 years old. But what you want to do is not use that perk. Make sure you have main battery mod 3, and you should also, you want Paolo di Ravello, the Italian brawler commander. You also want him maxed out too, if you can get that. I know a lot of people don't care about Italian battleships because they might not even have any. But if you can get him like fully maxed out to where I think it's like a 5.6% reload buff, combined with your Madden's already 2%, it's like a nice, huge buff. That can carry you down to almost 16 seconds of a reload time on a battleship. Why are we not using this thing? But the second build you can use, oh, make sure you have the 5 heals. That's another thing. 5 super heals are godly. Now, if you want the anti-spam build, you're going to take, make sure for the modules you want to take, instead of propulsion mod, you're going to want, or, I mean, I assume you're using propulsion mod's like the best one, or steering gears, you want to take damage control systems mod 2, because it's anti-spam and anti-fire. Then, instead of brawler, you take not one for nuisance, and then you take firefighter along with that. And you can have a 20% negation against all fire damage. So Fletcher's, Akizuki's, most fire spamming, not all fire spamming cruisers, because it's still not enough to fully negate fire most of the time. But destroyers are pretty much never going to set you on fire, and cruisers have a very difficult time to set you on fire. So if fire is an issue, I'd recommend that. And if you're someone who wants the aspect of accuracy, then you're going to want to go for the full accuracy build, all the accuracy, which kills your speed. I personally don't like it because it feels almost wasted. I mean, it's Vanguard. When you fire HE, it's going to set fires. When you fire AP, it's going to do some damage. But I mean, I can easily understand why you'd want to use Dispersion build more than the reload or anti-fire builds. They could be a bit more effective, but in my personal opinion, I will always prefer the anti-fire build. Yes, and my favorite is actually the anti-fire build. I've been using this one a lot more recently, and the luxury of having 5 super heals and rarely getting set on fire makes it to where you're using those heals more on AP and actual tank damage than just some shitty Kutuzov player at the very edge of the map spamming HE at you. It's a lot more effective. Or you can go for the full reload, which I also used to use. It's actually very nice having a 42% chance to set fire with a 17 to 16 second reload time. You could go 18 if you're really lackluster, but 18 it is pretty hard to get down to 18. I'm pretty sure that Jean Bart can. I know that Jean Bart is 2 reload boosters, and I think you can go down to 18 seconds. Is what someone told me, but still. Now, there are, obviously you can mix and match these. My legendary abilities obviously will rebuild. It is actually busted. It is actually a busted perk. Essentially nothing can kill you unless a Yamato or 2 fires and you can't damage con or heal it. It's just a very, very, very good perk to have. You could run running with scissors. I've used it before. I don't feel the difference in damage. It never feels like it does more damage to me. Or you can go super anti-fire and actually do the complete full anti-fire build of fight fire with fire. You could do that. For me, it's just too situational. It almost never happens. Like one time I purposely ran into a torpedo just so that thing would actually activate and I wouldn't burn to death. Like, I knew it was going to burn to death because, 2 fires would be 20% of my health. And I didn't have enough health. But because I knew it was a crappy cruiser torpedo, I knew it was. And since it was a crappy cruiser torpedo, I knew it would not do enough damage to kill me. And it actually saved me. I managed to get way off 10 seconds, got my super heal back, and killed the I forgot what cruiser it was. It happened a long time ago. I forgot what cruiser it was. I forgot what cruiser. I think it was an Italian one. Yeah, I think it was either Zara or Amalfi. But still. Yeah, those are the builds that you're going to want to use. And about the reload booster, I forgot to cover that. The reload booster, honestly, I don't even know why they gave it to us. It's very nice, and it's very nice. But there are times you just, because what the feels for me is that I end up like saving it because like, oh my god, it's definitely gonna be a destroyer somewhere, and you have that mindset, and it never happens. Or like it's only good when there's a broadside cruiser or battleship where they're about to kill you who thinks they're hot shit, and then next thing you know you mock on them with a 6-second reload time, or an 8-second reload time, or a 7-second. It depends what you can do with it. But yeah, that'll pretty much wrap up this guide. I hope this actually helps you. I would love to see more Vanguard players out there. It's a shame there aren't. It's a very good ship. I don't know why you wouldn't want to use it. But yeah, there's obviously better people, like T-Bull, who maybe explained it better. I don't know, his videos are outdated. It happened like, that's like a 2 or 1 year old video now, I think. It's outdated. But I don't know. In my opinion, this might be better advice. Because he focuses more on an AP-oriented dispersion build. And with a high DPM build of the 20 and 17 second. Now, with a dispersion build, you actually still can get that 21 second. It's a 21 second reload time. Which is only like 4 or 3 seconds off from what you could get with a normal build. I would still prefer the other builds just for... Because when you have the dispersion build, you get fire bonuses. Honestly, in my opinion, the dispersion build is just redundant. You trade dealing damage for taking more damage, which is not a very good way. Like, you take more fire damage because of the increased fire setting chances on anything you have. Now, on some ships it's necessary, like, like Yamato, it's almost necessary. But yeah, that'll wrap this up for this one. I hope you take this advice into consideration, and instead of selling Vanguard, you rebuy it. It's pretty good if you play it.